Hi everyone, so I'm here in Vegas with a new friend called Guy, and this is after I did a talk on Sunday afternoon to a bunch of guys on the effects of inflammation on testosterone, how it impacts testosterone, and the whole kind of talk was really about inflammation in the end. And before I did this, my friend who invited me to talk actually kind of suggested or told me that there's going to be a few people in the room who are very versed in nutrition and naturopathic doctors and chiropractors, etc. So I was thinking to myself, I really better get this right. And I was slightly nervous, and it went really well in the end. It was really, really well received. But anyway, after the event, or during, Guy kept on kind of adding to what I was saying. I wouldn't say interrupting, he was adding to what I was saying.
I was interrupting you, yeah, that's all right.
Me. But he was interrupting me. Yeah. But it was in a good way, because it was kind of building on what I was saying. And it was just really interesting to talk to him afterwards. We went for dinner, and I realised that he's a very, very knowledgeable guy, and I was kind of soaking his stuff up like a sponge. And it was a very interesting evening. And we talked a lot about vitality and health and fitness, and what it takes to kind of get to his age. I didn't realise quite how young he is. I thought he was a little bit younger than his actual age, and I thought when I asked him, I was pretty surprised. How old are you?
So I guess I gave it away when I mentioned I lived in Berlin during the Cold War, but
oh yeah, during the tour.
But I'll be 62 in about 4 months.
Pretty amazing, pretty amazing. So the next day I actually said to a friend of mine who I'm staying with, and he said to me, what did you do last night? And I went for dinner with a 62-year-old man. Anyway, let's crack on, because I thought we could talk about what you've been doing for the last few decades, really,
right,
to look so young. And yeah, I think you had a lot to share. So without further ado, what would you say? Oh, by the way, what's your origin?
Oh, you mean in this whole natural world?
No, but where you're from.
Oh, right. My father's Italian, my mom's Lebanese. So
I guess what he doesn't eat?
Gluten.
Right. Yeah. Pretty amazing to meet an Italian or Italian origin person, a person of Italian origin who doesn't eat wheat. So this is.
But remember that luckily the two best cuisines on the Mediterranean are Italian and Lebanese. But Italians themselves don't eat a lot of gluten. They eat a fair amount of pasta and breads, but their diets are so balanced in conjunction with their geography that they don't suffer the celiac disease and the IBS and all the things that Americans get. Because when you transfer a cuisine or a lifestyle from its original country to a place like America, things don't quite translate.
And it's a very different type of wheat that we have these days,
yes,
isn't it? Hybridized wheat.
Yes.
Mutated. It's called mutated, isn't it?
Yes.
It's by mutated gene. So it's not mutated gene.
Well, they're actually the old way of splicing genes. 100 years ago. That's the original genetically modified organism. But that was done in a more natural. That's farmers would do that. But now you've got GMO.
Yeah.
Presented to us by Monsanto, and that's a different animal altogether.
But the grain these days has about 14 different added proteins added to it, compared with like 10,000 years ago, compared with the ancient grain.
To the origin.
I think that's the problem in America, right, because more and more people are becoming celiac intolerant, but almost everyone is intolerant to wheat without actually knowing it.
Yes.
So yeah.
And the other glutinous grains as well.
Yes, and anything with gluten in them. So what would you say is your number one secret to looking 40?
Start when you're 40.
Yeah.
First of all, it doesn't matter what genes you're born with. I'm certainly lucky. Both my parents are alive. They're in their mid-90s. They have a few chronic ailments, but nothing significant. But even if you're born from, let's say, deficient genes, it's your lifestyle. Your lifestyle and your choices that make a difference. It's epigenetics, not genetics.
I love the fact that you just said that, because I was going to do a Facebook Live earlier on epigenetics. So epigenetics, food is epigenetic, which means you can override a predisposition to getting something. So you can have something like cancer, type 2 diabetes, and your family can have that, and you can, by changing what you eat and how you live, your lifestyle, etc., you can override a predisposition to getting something. So when your doctor says to you, what does it, do you have history of cancer in the family or history of diabetes? You can say yes, but give it a damn because I'm going to change what I eat. So
And the other thing is, a lot of people say this runs in my family.
yeah,
Fill in the chronic disease. But then
Right.
you discover upon interrogation, for 3 or 4 generations, they all eat the same way, usually bad.
Yeah.
They all have the same lifestyles, bad. Maybe a lot of smoking, drinking,
yeah,
eating a very limited variety of foods, and growing up without fresh air, for example. And then, of course, the disease is going to transfer from generation to generation.
yeah.
It's not because of genetics, it's the environment.
It's because we all eat the same as our parents, who ate the same as their parents,
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless that trend is broken, then it's just going to continue.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're in charge. It's your life. You have to make your own decisions.
Yeah, yeah.
And don't believe us.
Try it. Yeah, try for yourself. So, start young. Take out gluten.
Yeah.
How much sugar do you have every day?
I try and stick to natural sugars like fruit, but I always eat fruit on an empty stomach because fruit sugars are easily absorbed by the system when there's no food already in on your belly. So
Yeah.
I always eat anything sweet on an empty stomach.
And you have fruit whole.
Absolutely.
And never juice it.
Occasionally, but for the most part, I eat the entire fruit
Yeah.
to get the fullness of.
And
what nature
we
provides.
digest it very, very quickly, don't we, the fruit? So
Yes.
it ferments if you have it on top of food, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure you all know about the glycemic index and
I've ranked it and raved
Yeah,
about that
yeah,
a lot.
yeah. But the funny thing is, most people don't think about is when you eat a meal and it's sitting in your belly to be broken down further, it sits there for anywhere from 20 to 40 to 60 minutes. If you put something sweet, it's not going to be converted to glucose. It's going to be converted to fat
Straight away.
straight away.
Yeah.
So that's one of the principles behind understanding glycemic intake.
Yeah. That's really interesting, that point. Yeah. It's not just about having high glycemic carbohydrates that spike your blood sugar and spike your insulin. It's also about timing of that. A good idea for having something that's going to spike your blood sugar is actually after an intensive workout, for example, or weight training, when the insulin actually helps to build muscle.
Yes.
It helps with hypertrophy. Otherwise, we pretty much don't need that. Well, there's much better times to have it.
Yes. Should I go back to the things?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, in addition to
I'm getting you back for interrupting me.
That's right. But you mentioned eating whole foods. That's probably the
Yeah.
most important thing. It's critical that you eat organic as much as possible.
Yeah.
I just can't emphasize that enough. In my other business in New York, I'm helping Europeans settle in New York City, and I always tell them the farming methods where you're coming from are much better than here. So you may not think this, but you have to eat organic, and I say that to this audience as well. The environment, unfortunately, because of factory farming, is reached a level where it's impacting all life. So that's the
Yeah.
second thing, is eat organic. And by the way, there are local farmers who come to farmers markets who can't afford their organic certification, but they practice the methods.
Okay.
So you have to talk to them. They'll say,
Yeah.
look, I don't use antibiotics, I don't use hormones, but I can't, I don't charge enough for my food to get the organic certification from the FDA, which makes you jump through hoops. So I'm willing to trust them. If I go to my farmer's market and I build a relationship, the guy's not going to lie to me on a consistent basis. I'm going to know. Plus you can visit them.
And grow your own.
If you got the
It's gonna-
land and you
yeah.
have if you have the clean earth and the water and the
Yeah.
sunlight, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I asked how you ate.
Oh,
I
yeah.
typically eat a paleo lifestyle, which is real food, high fat, low carb,
Mm-hmm.
kind of borderline ketosis.
Good. Okay. Good point.
You call yourself a
Conscious omnivore.
right.
So every meal, I divide carbs into vegetables and grains because I don't like bunching vegetables into that broad carbohydrate category. So with every meal, I try and balance roughly 1/3 animal-based protein, 1/3 vegetables, and 1/3 grains. I don't have to have grains with every meal, but vegetables and protein.
And by grains, you don't mean wheat. You mean Quinoa.
Yeah, quinoa,
buckwheat.
amaranth, buckwheat, teff, millet. Millet's one of my favorites, and brown rice.
Yeah. Brown rice. What about wild rice?
Yes, as long as it's organic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about the water supply? What kind of water do you drink?
Wow. Okay, so that one of the things we talked about is the most essential thing for life is oxygen. All right, so
Yeah.
the first thing I teach people is diaphragmatic breathing, which if you're a yoga practitioner, you understand how to inhale deeply into the belly, hold the breath, and exhale. This helps tremendously. So that's number one.
Because
Number
we tend to use the top third of our lungs only, don't we? We don't
Right.
use the bottom 2/3, and we neglect the capillaries that are there to serve the rest of our organs and our entire kind of physical body. So it's,
Every cell has to be fed oxygen.
yeah.
Number two is water. So you can go 3 minutes without breathing. You can go 3 days without water. You can go 3 to 4 weeks without food. So there's your priority. There's your sequence right there.
I like that. It's a good way of looking at it.
You know, I was in the Army for 6 years. You learn about survival techniques.
Right.
So water. Find out what your source of water is. I don't recommend buying bottled water at all. Find whatever your source is. It's either a municipal water system, a well, or an aquifer. Or if you live in the woods, maybe a mountain stream. And then you're really lucky.
And if you don't live in the woods,
Yeah, well, most people get their water from municipal water systems that are may have a good source. There might be a reservoir up in the mountains where they source the water, but then they pipe it to a treatment plant where they dump in chlorine, and the new chlorine's worse than the old chlorine. It's ammoniaized chlorine, fluoride, and other chemicals. Then they restrict it through an even narrower pipe where all of its structure is destroyed. Well, then now we're talking about life force energy. So
Yeah.
water has a life force energy. Life force meaning prana or chi. This is not woo-woo, right? This has been proven many times over. I won't go into the references now. So then the water is narrowed. The pipes get narrower and narrower and narrower until they get to your home, and then they're in your faucet. So it's critical that you get, if you're using municipal water, that you get a decent water filtration system. Not only for your drinking water, but for your bathing as well.
yeah, this is a huge point. I bought a Kangen water machine in March because it took me about 2 years to be persuaded to do this, but I bought one in the end because of a personal friend experiencing a certain condition, and I decided to personal friend, experiencing something, and the same condition had been healed within a month by drinking this water by someone else. So I just decided to test it, and it was just pretty amazing stuff. So Kangen and Echo, I would highly recommend. You can speak with me more about that if you want to know more about that. So oxygen, water,
Now food,
organic,
right?
conscious omnivoreism.
And also, I mean, now listen, diet is an emotional issue for a lot of people. So I'm not telling you what to do. This is what I do. If you are an how do I say, an emotionally driven vegetarian, because of the sins and the absolute slaughter that goes on in factory farming, I understand. I have my decision, you have yours. I'm not going to tell you what to do. People are vegetarians for many different reasons, and I respect all of them. But
All of them.
all of them, except
Except
one.
for one.
Except for one. Human biology. Again, this is also an emotional issue because both sides have their own arguments. But the thing that makes us Homo sapiens sapiens, what humans are today, is that we started eating animal protein. Now, I don't know what came first, the brain change or the protein, but that's evolutionists argue that constantly. But the point is, and I know there's going to be people out there who are going to argue vehemently against this, but as you age, it's critical that your brain is fed the right fats. And those fats cannot come from plants. They come from animal protein. Now, remember, animal protein can be dairy, the right kind of dairy, not the bad dairy, eggs, fish, fowl, and then red meat is last. Now, I don't eat a lot of red meat, very little. And I wish I could eat fish all the time. I love fish. But the oceans are so polluted right now that it's really hard to find sources of good fish.
There's other good fats though that are plants, avocados and olive oil and nuts and seeds.
Yes,
and, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But the
Yeah.
vegetarian argument is you can get all of the fats that your brain and body need from those plant sources, and I don't agree with that.
Okay, interesting.
A balance. Have a balance.
Talking about fats, someone who watched one of my Facebook Lives in the summer, she adopted the ketogenic lifestyle, having seen one of my Facebook Lives, and her Parkinson's symptoms have gone through the floor. Like they've almost gone completely.
Right.
By giving her brain the fats. Most people are leading a very high carbohydrate loaded diet, which actually triggers neurodegenerative decline. Like a high sugar, high carbohydrate diet leads your brain to shrink, and it actually triggers neurodegenerative decline. So Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and other
And they drink
memory.
diet drinks that contain artificial sweeteners.
Yeah.
That will definitely mess you up.
Yeah, anything that's artificial is going to mess with your brain, isn't it?
Right. Right.
So yeah, pretty crazy. You have a pretty strict supplement regimen.
Yeah, I take
And
about
you were taking
30
these
pills a
during
day.
dinner. 30 supplements.
Roughly, yeah. Because first of all, I don't take a multi-anything. All of my supplements are individualized, so I take a pill for each thing. So I take 2 different probiotics in the morning on an empty stomach. I take a liver cleanser. I also take, depending what's going on in my body, I may take some parasite killers, because there are parasites in food and in the environment. The whole world of germs, you know, bacteria, viruses, parasites, fungus. And now apparently there's a 5th type of germ, which I don't even know about, but I ran into a biologist who told me this recently. And your body has all of these in a natural state. You're not supposed to kill all the bacteria and all the viruses. There are healthy ones in you. So that's why you take probiotics. But occasionally you'll have a parasitic infection. One way to tell is if your belly is a little bit bloated and there doesn't appear to be any additional fat, it's just bloated, you probably have parasites. Then with breakfast, vitamin A, B, D, and E as separate pills. 3 different antioxidants, coenzyme Q10, alpha lipoic acid, and pycnogenol.
It's quite a regimen.
Before I eat, I also have a protein powder either before or after I do yoga. So I do yoga every day. And I live in New York City, which means I'm walking 5 to 10 miles a day, bounding up and down stairs to take the subway. The subway is a sauna in the summer, so everyone loses weight in New York. New York is the thinnest people in America, as you may have heard.
Really? Outside of LA?
Yeah, but not because of, it's just the environment in New York is all about movement and lack of cars. We don't, most New Yorkers don't have cars. So we walk around a lot. We take public transport and we walk. So a protein powder before or after exercise. I told you, with breakfast. So I gave you the vitamins, the antioxidants, then there's herbs. So I take 4 different herbs. Saw palmetto, which every healthy man should be taking to keep that prostrate nice and flowing. Pau d'arco, kelp, black walnut hulls, and sometimes cloves.
Right. There we go. That's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah.
So I think...
And then in the evening, in the evening is when I do the mineral dosing. So minerals at night with the last meal, and a full range of the 11 essential minerals, the 82 trace minerals in various pill forms. There's about 7 different pills just for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then you look like that. I think you actually read...
I have most of my hair.
I think you read my book before.
And I don't color it either, by the way. I don't color my hair.
Yeah, it doesn't color its hair.
All right.
So you read my book before I wrote it, my Vitality Secret. So thank you for listening, guys. I think there's only a few people left on.
Are we getting any nasty comments from what I was saying? No. Okay.
Not yet.
No. Okay. Cool.
Thank you for listening, everyone. If anyone's got any any questions, let me know.
Great to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you, Guy.
Yes.